All right, what's up? What's up? The title of today's discussion is "You Are Multidimensional: A Journey Through the Selves Within." Honestly, this I think is a very powerful manifestation lesson, and truly, I think that if you've been struggling to grasp some topics, this is the one that is going to set you up for success. So bear with this one, stick through, and I think this one is gonna really help you out. All right. So we're gonna talk about you, the universe, in a very divine way. We're talking multidimensional for sure. All right. So the title of the discussion, like I said, is "You're Multidimensional: A Journey Through the Selves Within." We talk about the infinite nature of the divine, of source. And this source is within you. But what we have rarely hit on is the infinite nature of you. All right. You right now are a fragment, one perspective of an infinite being. Meaning within you right now, okay, stacked on top of you, experiencing life in all these different realities is every different version of you. The broke version, the rich version, the master manifestor version, the married version, right? The traveler version. All of these versions are right now within you. And together, if you add all these versions up, they make a whole version of you. A lot of this journey to yourself is not about trying to choose and change, but trying to select what perspective you want to experience next. So we're going to talk about this from a reality creation perspective. Hopefully this hits home. So let's get into it. All right. You think you're just this body, this name, this moment, but you are a universe folded into skin, 1,000 lifetimes humming beneath your heartbeat. Every version of you that ever was and ever could be already lives within you, stacked like stars behind your eyes. You are not on a journey to find yourself. You are the one who scattered into many just to remember the beauty of returning. You are not a fragment reaching for wholeness. You are wholeness playing in fragments. And this life, this identity, is just a mask worn by the infinite whispering, "Look how human I can be." What if you've never been broken? What if the you who failed, who feared, was never less divine? What if every shadow was sacred, every version a doorway to God? The pain, the pride, the peace, it is all in you. And once you stop resisting the many faces of yourself, you begin to choose them, like a divine artist selecting colors. You are not stuck, you are sculpting. You are not lost, you are layering. And today, you don't have to fix yourself to be free. You just have to remember you've always been everything. All right, we're going to talk about how to select your reality, selecting your persona from a very different perspective. What if there is nothing to run from? What if this version of you is just as perfect, just as divine as the version of you that you want to experience next? And the only thing that's keeping you from selecting these versions is you are resisting what you're experiencing right now, believing that it's less divine, believing that it's less perfect, believing that it is worth less than other aspects of you, when really it is just as perfect. Because the Most High doesn't make mistakes. Source doesn't make mistakes. You were made in the image of the Creator. So every version of you is perfect. And when you start to transcend the need to judge one as better than another, and you simply look at yourself as a whole being experiencing life just 0.0001% of reality at a time from a single perspective, now you can raise in your awareness and you can start to choose, what identity do I want to experience next? All right. See, a lot of the issues that we have is when we start resisting and trying to run from an identity. We start thinking that this identity is less divine than another, when they all are perfection. They are all viewed as perfection. They are all meant to teach you something, right? You are the selector of them. And so just as easily as you selected one identity, you can select another. But the issue is when we're trying to resist an identity, it becomes very difficult to select another one, okay? So you are not becoming, you are remembering. So Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And then a quote from Buddha, one of my favorites, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. Literally everything. When we talking about the mind is everything, we're not talking about theoretically, hypothetically. The mind is everything. It is every possibility. Who you are transcends this one version of you that you're experiencing life through right now. Okay? What we think we become. So you were never missing pieces. You are not on a journey to collect worthiness, but to remember your completeness. Every version of you that you've lived was already held in the mind of God before time began. You are not evolving toward divinity. Hear that. You're not evolving toward divinity. You are evolving within divinity. You are already whole. Within you right now is every possible version of you that you could be. And right now you're just experiencing one perfect perspective of that whole. The moment you start looking at this as perfect, right? We've had this discussion from looking outside, right? I want you to look at the world as a miracle. Everything is a miracle, right? And now you can begin to attract miracles in your life. Now, let's really talk about it from the flip side. You are the miracle within the miracle. You are the miracle creating the miracle. And within you is every version of you that you could possibly be. Every single one. And together they all make up source, the infinite. You are whole. You've never been anything less than whole. You're just experiencing one perspective. You know what the concept of lack comes from? The concept of fear and anxiety and lack, right? It comes from believing that you're separate, believing that this one perspective is less divine than another one. With every perspective, when you forget that this one version of you that you're experiencing right now is part of a whole, when you forget that, when you lower yourself in consciousness, you don't understand who you are, well, then of course you feel lack. Because one perspective of every single version of you, you're going to experience some kind of lack. It is when you understand that you are whole that you can start choosing what you want to experience next, choosing what you want to experience next. Stop judging each part as lack and know that it's just one perspective of the wholeness of you. Even if you had $1 billion, right? You would feel like something is missing. But now when you know that you are whole, guess what? You can choose a new identity to experience that part of you. This isn't a journey about doing work to heal, to become whole. You've always been whole. You've never not been whole. It's simply selecting the version of yourself that you want to identify with next, from that greater perspective, from that higher up perspective, not from this low level perspective, but from that higher up perspective, okay? So you are not evolving toward divinity. You're not getting more whole. You've always been whole. You are evolving within divinity. You're already divine. You're already whole. You're just one perspective of that whole right now. Okay? You are the tree, not just the leaf. You are the ocean, not just the wave. This life is just one current in the infinite sea of you. Okay? In every moment, you are changing perspectives. Every single moment. Every single moment. All right. So now one of my favorite verses that really talks about this, right? John 14:2. In my Father's house are many mansions. Okay? You have to give yourself grace. There is no messing up, right? There is no messing up. Understand that that is the belief that you are putting on yourself, right? You're saying that you're messing up. You're not messing up. Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. It's always about the story that you're telling about what you want to do. Okay? This is why even when Peter started to fall in the water, what happened? He picked himself up. He saw the storm out there and he started to fall. But once he put his eye on his I am awareness, he got right back up. It didn't say that Peter had to run all the way back to the boat and start over, right? He picked up right where he was. What is the story? Okay, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past for the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 years. It matters what you're doing right now. What are you aware of being right now? Okay. So in my Father's house are many mansions. John 14:2. Let's break that down. In my Father's house are many mansions. This talks about everything. Okay. So this isn't about architecture in heaven. Right? We're not talking about some place in the sky with a whole bunch of cribs. You know what I'm saying? You got a beachfront property. It is about the architecture of consciousness. The Father's house is not a distant celestial place, but the infinite field of divine awareness in which all realities, all identities, and all timelines dwell within you. You are the house. You are the house in which all realities, all identities, and all timelines dwell. Okay? You are the house, and within you are many mansions, dimensions of being, rooms of remembrance, layers of selfhood waiting to be explored. Each mansion is a version of you. The fearless one, the wise one, the broken one learning to rebuild, the lover, the mystic, the child, the God. And every one of them is holy. You do not have to earn access to these rooms. They are your inheritance. Your suffering comes only when you believe you are locked into one floor, one identity, forgetting that the keys have always been in your pocket. What are some of the ways where we can get trapped in one identity, thinking that we're stuck? I'll give you one that a lot of people talk about. Oh, I have to reprogram my subconscious. Like there is some big bad part of you that is keeping you from getting your desires. This is just a thought. This is your belief. There is no part of you that is keeping you from what you want. And now you have to plead for this subconscious mind to accept what you're doing. You got to beg it. You got to say things over and over again to impress it. And then all of a sudden it just clicks into place one magical day and says, okay, now I'm going to give you the things you want. This is a myth. It is about what you are conscious of being right now. Right now. There's no subconscious reprogramming that you need to do. Your subconscious accepts everything. It is just subconscious, below your awareness, below your consciousness. It accepts everything. You do not have to sit here and act like there's some ledger where, okay, I've said I was unworthy 20 times. Now I say I'm worthy 23 times. And now all of a sudden, boom, it is reprogrammed. No, it's about what you are aware of being right now. What are you conscious of being right now? Now, once we get to the point where we transcend this thought of good and bad, this version is less divine than that version, and you understand that you are one whole being, experiencing life right now through a specific perspective, which is a fragment of you. Now, you can say, okay, I love this version of me. This version of me is still me. It still served its purpose, and now I choose a different version. Okay? When you talk about anxiety and feelings and all of these things, and we talk about transcending these things, what does this truly mean? When you understand that you are whole, in every single version of you is perfect. In every single version of you, you can choose immediately. You can transcend the fear and anxiety. It doesn't mean that you won't have them. You just understand that your fear, your anxiety, your joy, right, your gladness, your excitement, none of these things put you more in alignment or less in alignment. They are simply feelings. You experience life through them, but afterwards, now you get to choose who you want to be. You are whole already. You are the divine being already. You are infinite already. You are source made manifest already. The only thing that has power over you is what you give power to. So when you believe that your feelings have power over you, guess what they do? When you believe that you've been falling off the path, guess what you have? But the moment that you realize you can't mess up, you simply select. And now you get to determine which thoughts have power over you and not. This is what Jesus said when he said, you would have no power over me if not given from above. Nothing. Even Pontius, when he was saying, look, don't you know I have the power to crucify your ass? I have the power to kill you. He said, you have no power over me unless it's given to you from above. Your feelings have no power over you. What your mom said, what your ex said, what the people on the internet says has no power over you unless given by you. Your thoughts, your feelings don't even have power over you unless given by you. So the moment you can transcend these things, right, and realize, okay, I'm thinking from this perspective, now I can switch. This is the moment that you step into that divine game, okay? So let's get back to it, right? The Father, in my Father's house are many mansions, John 14:2, okay? Jesus wasn't pointing to the sky. He was pointing inward. He was reminding you that in God's reality, there is space for all of you. Space for the contradictions, space for the questions, space for every phase of your unfolding. The many mansions are not separate destinations, but living expressions of your multidimensional self. You are not limited to the story that you are in. You can move rooms, shift realms, step into a higher frequency of yourself at any time, not by striving, but by remembering. Because when you know the house belongs to you, you stop knocking on locked doors. You simply walk through as the beloved who has always had the right to be there. What does it mean to say that you have to be worthy for something? How could you not be worthy? You are source. Just the fact that you think that you have to do something to be worthy is a statement that you don't know who you are. That is the declaration that you're not unworthy, that you are unworthy, that you think that you are unworthy. It's believing that you have to do something to get worthy, right? You have to love yourself to get love. Okay, what does that truly mean? What does that truly mean? You have to love yourself to get love. Yeah, you can do things, we call it self-love, taking care of yourself and all those things, right? But source is within you. You just have to know that because source is within you, you are love. It is the knowing of who you are. To know yourself transcends all of these rules. Okay? When you know that you are divine, then you could be nothing other than worthy. You could be nothing other than love. You could be nothing other than in alignment. You could be nothing other than whole. You are simply just experiencing one perspective, but within you is every perspective. Okay? Gospel of Thomas quote, "The kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth, but men do not see it. And the kingdom is within you." Everything is here in your reality. It's just that when we are unconscious, we don't see it. We believe we have to strive and reach and beg and plead and work to get the things that we want, when we simply have to embody it, okay? Beautiful quote by Rumi, "You are not a drop in the ocean." And I've said this a couple of times, but hopefully this resonates different now. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop, okay? You are not a fragment of source. You are all of the divine, all of God within you. All right? Where God is, all of God has to be. This is what it means by omnipresent, omnipotent. All right? Wherever God is, a piece of the divine, all of the divine is. Okay? Your consciousness is layered. The you that you see in the mirror is a perspective and not the full truth. You are simultaneously the observer and the actor, right? What do we say? Right now, you are the author of this book. You're also the reader of the book. You're also the main character in the book. You're also the editor in the book. You're also the publisher. You get to determine what's true and what isn't. What you's going to accept as true and what you ain't. You get to make all the rules. All the rules. All of them, okay? You are simultaneously the observer and the actor, the voice and the echo. There are infinite yous already existing in divine simultaneously. You're all existing divinely at once, okay? Stacked like layers of light, vibrating at different frequencies. In truth, you are every version of yourself you've ever imagined. The calm you, the chaotic you, the healed you, the hurting you, and all are valid, all are whole, and all are you. And of course, all these recordings are going to be on YouTube. All of them on YouTube. Never take them down. Okay? So number 3, thoughts are not the truth. They are costumes of identity. Right? Costumes. Thoughts are not the truth. They're costumes of identity. Proverbs 23:7. "As he thinketh in his heart, so is he." Right? What did we say before? Not as he feels in his heart, but as he thinks. Okay? The perspective that you take on, that transcends feelings. Okay? Neville Goddard quote, "The world is all appearance, and your belief in it gives it its power." Okay? And then another beautiful quote. All right? "The obstacle is not the self, but the mistaken belief of what the self is." Okay. The obstacle is never overcoming the self, conquering the self, taming the self. The obstacle is always the mistaken belief of what the self is. You think, you mistake that single perspective as you. when that single perspective is just a perspective. You are infinite, okay? Suffering is not your identity. It is the shadow of a misidentified thought. Suffering is optional, right? It comes to clinging to who you are. The more that you are in awareness of who you really are, the less you suffer. The more you are in awareness of who you are, the less you cling to anything. The more in the moment you are, simply observing, understanding that you are all that there is. You are every single perspective. And right now you're experiencing one perspective, and you can switch whenever you see something that you want or you see something that you don't want. Okay? You suffer not because life is broken, but because a thought convinced you that you are. This is that divine realization. It's like, everything that I could fear, everything that I can desire are simply thoughts. And that thought means that there's a version of me experiencing that. And so when I identify too much with a single thought of fear or anxiety, that means I believe I do not have an option to choose. I believe I'm stuck, right? I forget that I'm source. I forget that I'm all these identities at once, right? And so I'm thinking that my fear, my anxiety makes me more attached to certain things when it doesn't. That's just a limiting belief. What truly is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is that it's a belief that at one point in time you needed. At one point in time it helped you, but now you've transcended. Now you're at a point where it's just holding you back because it's not in alignment with who you want to be moving forward. This is what a limiting belief is. It's limiting to the version of you that you want to be now. And once you identify these things as such, you don't need to go reprogram your subconscious mind. You simply identify them in a moment and you understand, okay, this belief no longer holds room here. And it drops away, it fades away. You're always in control based on who you're being right now. It's about right now. It's about right now, okay? So thoughts are just garments that you wear. They can be slipped off, rewritten, transcended. Who told you to hold so tightly to that version of yourself? Who told you that this version of you was you? Right? Who told you that you couldn't change? Right? This is another limiting belief, right? People don't change. Right? This is another limiting belief. That the failure meant you were unworthy. Who told you that the failure meant you were unworthy? That the sadness made you small? This is just one perspective of you. Okay, these are just echoes and not essence of who you are. All right, so Matthew 5:48, be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. This just means to know yourself. Know yourself as perfect, for source is within you, okay? And then a Course in Miracles quote, I always pull out a Course in Miracles quote, nothing real can be threatened, okay? Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Let's go over that again. Nothing real can be threatened. What is real about you? The I am. That you are the formless I am. This is why when Moses was approached by the divine, it was a burning bush, right? And Moses was astonished. Why? Because the bush was not burning. Why? Because this represents your I am awareness. The I am within you, the source within you that is unmoved and unchanged. Okay? By external conditions, by feelings, by thoughts. It just is. It's whatever you assume it to be. It is. I am that I am. All right? And so that burning bush, the fire, the external circumstances, it does not change. Okay? Nothing real can be threatened. The only thing that is real is the I am. It is you. It is who you really are beneath the mask of the ego. Okay? Nothing unreal exists. Anything that's temporary, that changes, it's unreal. Okay? Nothing unreal exists. All right. So if you think about life, in every moment, everything is changing. It might change in pieces that are too small for us to notice, but you're only experiencing 0.001% of reality per moment. Even the plant behind you, in every moment, it changes. It's not the same. Okay? None of this reality is real because it's always changing. People always changing. But you, the I am, is formless. It is infinite. Okay? Herein lies the peace of the divine. In this moment, whether you like it or not, do not cling to it, for it will fade away. And you can choose what you want to experience next. All right, so there is no broken version of you, only expressions of learning, only colors, fragments, pieces, perspectives of your wholeness. The unmotivated version is a teacher in rest. The angry version, a guardian of your boundaries. The sacred version, a seeker of safety. You can flip these personas whenever you feel. The problem is we get attached to them. We start getting scared of them. We start trying to run from them and resist them. Resistance is suffering. This is when we suffer, right? Thinking the external circumstances are real. No, they're just attached to this version of you. That's it. They're not real. Nothing unreal exists. Okay? If it changes, it's not real. The kingdom is within you. What is the kingdom? The kingdom is everything. Kingdom is everything. And the kingdom is within you. So everything that you see comes from within you. You created it. And if you created it, you can choose different. You can choose different. Okay? So even your shadow is sacred. All parts are playing their role in your becoming. And when you realize this, you stop striving to fix yourself. Key word. When you realize this, you stop striving to fix yourself. The striving to fix is an admission that you're broken, but you could never be broken because you are whole and you are source and you are divine and you are perfection. You are all that there is. How could you be anything less than whole? You are every version of you, stacked one on top of the other. You are just experiencing this perspective right now. Okay? So when you realize this, you stop striving to fix yourself and start learning to choose yourself. Okay? You mentioned alive to ground your anxiety, but how? Let's start. I'll get into that in some detail. Let's get into that. Quickly, the Cliff Note version is to start meditating, start doing breath work, and then start being more mindful of the moment to moment aspect of the day, being more present, understanding that, okay, things might be falling apart in the past or the future, but right now everything's perfect, right? And then the biggest thing is identifying with that higher aspect of yourself. Okay, the more that we rise in consciousness, the less we identify with the anxiety. We just know that it's simply energy. It's an emotion. It's simply energy in motion, right? And when we identify with it that way, now we can actually use it, become the alchemist to point that energy to whatever we want and use it to create our reality, right? Energy, the moment that you stop judging it, right, as needing to ground, right? Sure, there's times for grounding, right? I don't want to sit in a certain place and, be uptight or be jumping around, but understand that energy can always be used, okay? So we can break that down at the end in a little bit more detail. So I like that question. All right, so Deuteronomy 30:19, I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. What does this mean? It means that you have every single possibility in front of you, life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. That you always have a choice. Everything is going to be in front of you, but you always have a choice. Now, the caveat, right? The part of this that does get to us is understanding that thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be, right? Meaning everything is always unfolding for you until you decide that it's not, by way of your declaration, by way of you saying so, right? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Nothing is inherently negative, right? Creation just creates. I like to give this perspective. When we talk about creation just creating, if a natural disaster came through right now, tornado, flood, fire, things would be destroyed. People may lose their life. We would call it an act of God. This is what we would call it. But nobody would say God is, well, people would, but most people would not say God is bad because of that act. We would just understand it's an act of God, right? But eventually, those souls that needed to check out, they would at that time. The situation would repair itself. That place would build itself back up. People would get together. They would do things for their community. Hell, even the wildlife would relocate. They would build themselves up better. The plant life grows stronger, more resilient because it went through that pain, right? What truly was negative about that situation? Now, same way that we can look at a breakup. You might go through a terrible breakup today, and you're sitting there and you're cussing, saying, man, why did this happen? Bring her back, bring him back. And then 5 years later, you're with somebody else. But after that first relationship, you did some work. You worked on yourself. You started working on your communication more. And now you're laid up with that next person. You're saying, thank God I went through that because now I am here, right? Who is more important? The one that breaks your heart, that pushes you on that journey, or the person you end up with? Who is more important? Debatable. It's up for grabs, right? They're both divine. Okay. But when we judge things as positive and negative, we lose our ability to truly walk through life and allow ourselves to see the miracle of everything. Put ourselves in that position to choose. Right? When we take a victim approach and we're looking at things as right and wrong, good and bad, now we can unintentionally start using our tongue, our power, our sword, our weapon to declare things as wrong when they never were. But now because we declare them that way, we put on that persona, right? The I am that I am. You are the that in the middle of the I am. Right? You get to put on your personality, the whole of you, every single version of you that is living right now within you, experiencing life through all different realities, all different perspectives. Whoever you say that you are right now, that is that personality that you put on. And now, I am that I am collapses to that perspective and you see life through it, right? But you can always change your perspective. If you were someone who just merely walked through life believing that everything was working out for you, it would. Because this is your power. This is your divinity, right? This is your divinity, all right? So another divine quote, okay, from William Blake, a really beautiful quote. To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Right? To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Right? It just talks to the fractal nature of the divine, of consciousness. Okay? My Father's house has many mansions. All right, next part. You are not at the mercy of fate. You're not at the mercy of fate. You're not being tested either. The world is just a divine reflection. You are the artist of your own image. Every new version of you already exists. You simply decide which one to embody next. Not because the former self was wrong. The former self is never wrong. It wasn't bad, right? It's not punishment. It's not a test. It's simply one perspective of the wholeness of you. Okay? It's because expansion is your nature. You are one perspective within the whole, right? You created this game so you can come down here and witness your expansion. All right? Expansion is your nature, and embodiment is your gift. The source within you is all that there is. Every version of you exists. And guess who gets to direct that power? You. You are the I am, right? You get to direct that power through your declaration of who you are, that I am, okay? Not because the former self was wrong, but because expansion is your nature. All right, so ask yourself, if all versions are real, if every single version of you exists right now, which one would you love to live through right now? The brave one, the clear one, the prosperous one, the surrendered one, the mixture of all of them, right? Then simply shift without guilt, without shame, without resistance, like a soul choosing which robe to wear for the day. Simply choose. Understand that the illusion of anxiety, the illusion of fear, those things come up, but don't identify with them. Understand that those are just illusions. This is what we talked about yesterday when we broke down the metaphysical story of Job, right? The story of Job is a story of a man rising in consciousness, the same way that we all have to rise in consciousness, right? Because in the beginning, Job, he believed in two powers. It said Job was an upright man, right? And he feared God, meaning he was in awe of the divine, and he shunned evil. So he believed in two powers. He believed in God and the devil. And so it's said that Satan started to have a conversation with the divine. What does this represent? It doesn't represent some horned man in hell punishing people. It represents your internal anxiety, your fear, your doubts. God in this story represented Job's higher self. All right? And so Satan said, all right, look, does Job worship God for nothing? Does Job fear God for nothing? Meaning, what is the reason that you worship the source within you? Right? Do you praise God for things? Because this is how Job walked in the beginning of the story, right? Job feared God and praised God because he had a bunch of things. Believing that because I believe, because I am quote unquote, self-righteous, means I have things. So this is an important lesson because we're often told from the worldly perspective that what? We're told good people get good things. If you do right by God, you'll get blessings, right? Is this always the case? Is it always the case that people who fear God, who love the divine, who praise God get good things and people who don't? No, that's not true. Everything, you deserve everything by right of consciousness. By right of consciousness is how you claim things. If you deserve it, if you believe you deserve it, you get it, right? You can judge a whole bunch of people morally, even though morality is based on our own internal judgment. We all look outside and we say, well, this person might not be morally right. He has everything. It's by right of consciousness. So Job believed that just his righteousness got him things. And so now you have this internal battle where Satan said, who would you be if we took everything away? So God said, take it. All right. So this is the beginning of Job's rise. Now it says that he spoke to three people. His three friends. What do his three friends represent? They represent different aspects of your consciousness. One represented the religious part, believing that, oh, maybe if I had praised more and done more things, I would have been better. The worst one of the three represented what? The self-critic. Saying, damn, you're not good, right? Beating up ourselves, tearing ourselves down. And then at the end, even Job's wife was like, you should curse God. Curse God and die, is what she said. Now, if this was really your wife, if that was really your wife, you would be like, damn, Joe, this doesn't even make sense. Some of these Bible stories, they don't even make sense. Like if you look at the story of the unjust steward, all right? He was going to get fired. He went out, and the parable is that he was about to get fired. He went out and started cheating people. It was like, okay, I said you owed 100. Now you just owe 80. So he shorted his master, and his master praised him. This story wouldn't make sense if read literally, right? But back to this other story. I'm going to do a whole breakdown of the unjust steward. But back to the story of Job, right? So when Job's wife said, curse God and die, this represents you looking out at third dimensional circumstances. You have to realize that you're married to this third dimensional reality. And oftentimes we'll look out, and because things are not going our way, guess what? We'll curse the circumstances. We'll say, man, forget this, bro. I'm done. Curse God and die, right? Curse the faith. Curse the source and go back to living that old way, right? This is what the story represents. So finally, there's another person, I think it's Elihu, representing his higher self, representing Job actually going within himself and starting to pray now. And finally, there's that understanding of the higher self getting the reassurance from source, okay? Saying, were you there, right? Were you there when I placed the constellations in the sky? Informed the earth? No, you weren't. I have ways that you don't know of, right? So it was Job coming into surrender. And what did he do at the end? He had to forgive his friends. He had to surrender. He had to realize there was only one power source. And now, I don't praise source just to get things, right? I go within knowing that I am source, and it allows me to choose. And now he was blessed times two. This is a story of rising in consciousness. All right. Cool. All right. So if all versions are real, which one would you love to live through? Well, y'all funny. All right. So Psalm 82:6. All right. I said, you are gods. You are all sons of the Most High. All right, now a quote from St. Augustine: the soul is a mirror in which we may behold the divine image. The soul is the mirror in which we may behold the divine image. And then to know thyself is to know God. It's incredible that when we get on this journey of consciousness and we get on this manifestation space, why I do this content is hopefully a future version of me will have an easier time when he gets this information. But we get in this space, and if you do not understand consciousness, you'll try to force things, and you'll hear things like you have to be worthy, and you'll believe that you have to do all this work, when a lot of this is about remembering who you are and simply choosing. It is understanding that right now I am every version of me. And let me try to condense a lot of these teachings in a couple sentences, a couple paragraphs. The kingdom of God is everything. It's the mic. It's you. It's your ex. It's your mother. Okay? It's everything, every situation. And the kingdom of God is within you. All right? And so that means everything that I see is being reflected by me. How is this being reflected? By a different version of me. I'm not just this one perspective. I am every single version of me that could ever possibly exist, all combined into one. One single perspective right now. Okay? And I can simply choose which perspective I want. Now, when I understand that everything is a miracle because it's being created by me, when I start to look at this world in awe, when I start to look at the sunrise in awe, when I start to wake up and take a breath of consciousness in awe, when I start to view picking up the phone and being able to hear my mother's voice as a miracle, right? When I understand that scripture says, thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be, meaning everything that I say happens, because God, the kingdom, is everything. It's every reality. It's not just my mother. It's every version of her. The same way that every version of me lives within me, every version of my mother lives within her. All right? And so I'm always calling forth different versions. Now, verily, verily, I say unto you, whatsoever you ask in the Father's name will be, not can, not should, will be given to you. The Father's name being I am. Right? So anytime I describe myself, I say, I am this, I am that, consciously or unconsciously, I'm using God's name. Right? And since everybody is from within me, right? It's not that I'm saying her or him or that thing. I'm always saying I am. So you're given all of these stories, all of these parables. Really, you only need to pay attention to one. One thing could make it click, right? But you're given all these different ways of saying the same thing. You are everything and everything is you. Everything out there is within you. Every version of you is within you. Whatever you say it is, that is what it is. Watch your words. Watch your mouth. Watch your perspective. Right? Understand that you are perfect. You are made in the image of the Creator, so you could not be anything less than whole, divine, love, perfect. All right? And once you understand that, you can kind of transcend everything and say, oh shit, now that I'm looking at everything from this higher perspective, my feelings don't make me any less worthy. It's simply my thoughts. I simply need to know that I'm worthy in every minute, know that I'm loved. I just have to remember who I am in every single moment. It seems so simple, however, the programming that we go through makes it complex. But this is the most natural thing to you. To simply be, to simply know, to simply assume that you are source, to know who you are, to declare things to be, to simply point your thoughts in the direction of what you want to experience. And even if they go off track, know that you are forgiven. Just like Peter, just like the Israelites when they were tripping in the wilderness. Know that you are forgiven. Know that those last 5 minutes you were tripping don't matter, but right now matters. Right? Right now matters. It's always about now, and it's always about you, okay? It's all these complex ways of saying the same thing. Right? So you are not on the outside looking in. You are the inside projecting out. the mirror of the divine refracting through this moment. Okay? This name, this breath, all of you is holy. All of you is God remembering. You are not limited to this reflection. You are not stuck in one version of your story. You are the library, not just a chapter. So walk freely, choose boldly, and know that no matter who you decide to become next, you are already perfect, already whole, and already home. All right? You are already perfect. You are already whole. You are already home. There's nothing to be forgiven because God doesn't judge. Judging is a human construct. Let the one without sin cast the first stone. Judging is a human thing. We're the ones who sit around and judge. We want to judge things as good and bad. We want to create these constructs of morality based on where we live, based on where we were born, based on what we see, based on what we think, right? To uphold society as it is. We are the ones who come up with the judgments. But the divine is infinite love. God, there's nothing to forgive. Source can't forgive you because Source doesn't blame you for anything. This is why you can get whatever you want, no matter what you do. I want you to truly think about this. There are people that have everything that they want. And we talk about things like karma, and we talk about things like, oh, people get what they deserve. Do they? Do they? Seriously? Maybe by our human standards, but people get what they want. They live the life that they want, that they believe they are going to get, that they expect to receive. Everything. You deserve everything by right of your consciousness. You don't get things based on some moral, some code of morality. Morality is a human construct. These are human constructs. There is nothing to fear. God is infinite love, right? There's no judging. Even your gratitude and love, God doesn't need it because he's infinite. If you were infinite love, would you need any more love? No, you're infinite love. Would you need any more gratitude? No, you're infinite gratitude. We do these things because they feel good to us because this is who we are. Because this is our divine nature, right? This is our divine nature flowing through us. But you know you're forgiven because there's nothing to forgive. Right? If you really even think about this, man, let's think about how a lot of scripture is even perverted. If you look at the way that the world treats justice, you'll go back to some of the kind of misguided teachings in the Bible, right? The concept of hell and heaven, right? Eternal judgment, eternal suffering, right? Over reform. You think that the source that loves you so much, it keeps your heart beating without you thinking about it, right? It allows you to breathe without you thinking about it. You think this source is going to send you to hell for eternal suffering? That completely contradicts infinite love. It completely contradicts it. A lot of these stories, we have to look at them as they really are. Metaphors, parables. They hold deeper levels of insight. Even if you think about, I want you to really think about the type of world that we live in. You live in a society that is created to benefit a few. It's created to benefit a few. If the Bible could free your mind by reading it literally, why the hell would you have it? Why the hell would you have it? If the Bible could free you from the construct that you're living in, where only a few people benefit, why the hell would it be so accessible to everybody? We have to seek the deeper meaning in these things, right? Even if you truly look at the doings of the God in the Old Testament and the teachings of Jesus, they're two completely different things, right? Which is very interesting. One was ready to wipe everybody out quick. All right, you know what? Let's start this shit over. All right? And one is infinite love. All right? Doesn't mean that one is more true or less true than the other. They're just different. They're different. They are different entities, but we have to look at the stories of what they are actually trying to teach you, right? There's deeper meaning hidden in these stories, but forgiveness and believing that, on all this sin and stuff. So you mean to tell me that somebody has to do certain things to survive and all of a sudden they're going to be punished for eternity? Or somebody is in a place in the world where they cannot get the teachings of a certain book and all of a sudden they're going to be held accountable for eternity for that, right? These things don't make any kind of logical sense, right? And when you start asking these questions, you're just told, oh, just don't question, just yada, 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 right? These things don't make sense. It's like you are pushed. Your mind is pushed away from logic. Like, whoa, hey, slow down, buddy. Don't think too far about this, right? There's certain things you just can't understand, right? So anyways, I could go on for that, or I could go on about that for a while, but there's nothing to forgive. Source is infinite love, right? This is why even if you do not acknowledge source, now why I preach this is because it makes it easier for you, better for you, right? Is that when you know who you are, now you're not creating by going in reality and trying to change things. You're creating from source. You're co-creating, right? Understanding that it's all from you. If I did not think that things were all from me and I was out there trying to change reality, or if I believed that my affirmations were the power, my visualization was going to change things, and I'm attached to there, I'm going to suffer. It's going to be very difficult. But when I understand that the only thing to change is me, I simply change my perspective of all these things, boom, right? You simply change your perspective. Right? You can visualize and affirm. I'm saying don't do those, don't put your power in those things. Meaning, we go from thinking that there's a God outside of us in the sky and praying to that God for intervention. And when we have that mindset, we feel separate. Feel very separate when you think there's a God in the sky way out there, right? This is why Jesus said, if you think that heaven is in the sky, if you think the kingdom is in the sky, you think the birds are closer to you. If you think that source is out there, you think somebody that prays more is closer. Someone who meditates more is closer, right? A priest is closer, a priest or a pastor or somebody, you'll think somebody can pray for you on your behalf, right? You'll think that, but source is within you, so there's no one closer than you, right? So when you understand that, you co-create from the knowing that because I am within God, because God is within me, there is no separation. I am source. I am that I am, right? Now, what happens when we go down this route sometimes is people will take the God in the sky, say, okay, it's within me, but then they'll put their power in the what? In the affirmation and the visualization. So instead of praying to some God in the sky, you're praying to an affirmation out there, right? So you're still putting the power outside of you. All I'm saying is coming to the realization that this power is within you. You are the fuel behind the affirmation. Do it for fun. Don't do it from a perspective of it's work. I'm affirming and I'm visualizing to try to change that. Understand that reality is what it is. In this moment, this reality that you are in, it's solid. However, when you change yourself, when you understand that the visualization, the affirmation is the declaration of who you are right now, now you switch realities. You completely leave behind that old version of those things, those people, and you go to a new reality. Those fade away and you get a new version of them. All right. So when you pray or you affirm or visualize the same way that you're praying and begging to something out there, right? If I visualize enough, if I affirm enough, it'll change. Okay. It will, but do it from the power, from the knowing that you are source. From the knowing that you are source. And things change quicker. All right. And this is even why a lot of spiritual teachers, especially Neville, says once you master your inner talk, your inner dialogue, you can lay aside all other processes. Okay? Because it's always about the story that you're telling moment to moment. Think about it like this. Right now, you're in a single moment. Exactly. The feeling is known. But he said, when I speak about feeling, I'm not talking about emotion. I'm talking about the knowing, the assumption that it's done. Okay? So it's about the knowing. And a knowing isn't a feeling. right? A knowing is simply a knowing. The best explanation I've heard is this lady was talking on here and she said, when it's your birthday, yesterday you were 26, today you're 27. If you don't feel good, you're not less 27. If you feel better, you're not more 27. If you forget you're 27 and you say you're 26, you're still 27. You're simply going to be like, oh no, my bad, I'm 27. Because I slipped up, quote unquote, messed up, does that make me 26 now? No, I'm still 27, right? It's the assumption. So the assumption is simply an assumption. Your age is an assumption. Your name is an assumption. If I call you out of your name X amount of times, the more I call you that, you're not going to get more confused and be like, oh shit, is that my name? You're going to look at me more crazy every time. Like, okay, bro, that's not my name. Right? It's not going to change who you are, right? An assumption is just a statement of who you are. It's not attached to your feelings, right? It even transcends your thoughts. Right? It even transcends your thoughts. It's a knowing. It's conviction. It's simply conviction. Yeah. I see myself as source is the path I must heal. I'm aware. And keep thinking and keep in mind, right? When we talk about healing, even knowing yourself as sources is an assumption. That is an assumption itself. Thinking that you have to heal, thinking that you have a path or a journey. When I talk about not chasing, when I say you don't chase, man, right? You're divine, you're source, you're a God, you're a goddess, right? You simply declare who you are. Don't think of chasing as, think of chasing in two perspectives. Number one is you have to understand that I am, and that is enough because I am everything, because I am that I am is everything, right? And you have to get to a point where I no longer see myself as smaller than anything. I understand that everything comes from me. So all of this is part of my reality. So I am the one who moves through life. And as I move through life, people and things that I want are magnetized towards me. So I'm not chasing. I'm in a constant state, in the constant knowing that I am the magnet. Okay, that's number one. Number two is with time, with timelines. When we say things like, I have to heal, or whenever I get this, then I'll be ready. What we're doing is we're throwing what we want into the future. So we're creating a timeline. And think about it, the past and the future are just thoughts. They're just thoughts, okay? They're simply in your mind. They don't exist, okay? So if I say one day, or I have to work on this, I have to heal, I have to be worthy, if I'm throwing something in the future, now I'm creating this timeline where now I have to walk down the timeline, and I'm guessing whenever I get to some arbitrary point in the future, then I will be ready. You're creating a scenario where you're chasing. Instead, simply assume and know that you are it now. What does it mean to know that you are source? Is it a feeling? No. What does it mean to know that you are 26 or 30 or 42? Is it a feeling? No. It's simply a knowing. Right? Don't outsource. Don't put things in the future. You are that right now, simply by saying, thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. It doesn't say, thou shalt heal over time and then it shall be. Right? It doesn't say, thou shalt reprogram the mind, the subconscious mind, and then it shall be. It's simply an assumption of who you are right now. Right now. You are healed. You are whole. You couldn't be anything less than that. You are source. Whether you feel like it or not, it doesn't change the fact of what it is. Whether you feel it or not, whether you feel whole or healed or fulfilled or divine, you are. You simply are. You simply are. It's simply an assumption, right? So it doesn't matter what you feel. It doesn't matter if you feel off, if you feel on. It doesn't mean if you're eating donuts or you're eating raw vegan. It doesn't matter if you're working out every day or you're not. You're still source. You're still divine. You're still 100% whole, fulfilled, perfect. No. Subliminals, I don't think they're useless. I don't think any of these things are useless. I'm just saying do them from the knowing that by doing this, I'm selecting what I'm going to experience next. I'm not doing this to force things to change. I'm doing this with the knowing that because I'm doing this, things will change because I'm selecting who I am from the knowing that I am divine and I am source. How to make that sink in fully? Time. Just keep doing it over time, right? And detach. I say detach so much, right? Detach from the belief that it has to sink in fully. What does that mean? What does sinking in fully means, right? These are just assumptions. Keep in mind, what you're saying is an assumption that it has to sink in fully. And one day it'll feel better than it does now. This is simply an assumption. Instead of going down that route, assume that you are right now, no matter how you feel about it. Just assume that you are right now. Make the assumption. Don't make it about feeling. Don't make it about feeling right. Don't make it about feeling good or being easy or it's an automatic thing. Simply make it about when I'm aware of it, I'm going to remind myself. And even if I'm not aware of it, I still am. All we have is the present, right? It doesn't matter if you've fallen off for a day, 5 weeks. What are you doing right now, right? And keep in mind, right, beliefs, and I think you're saying that, and this is just my assumption, right? But I think that you're saying that because I truly believe that you're associating some kind of emotion or feeling in your body with an assumption, when an assumption is simply a choice in your mind, right? If you're saying something like, I mean it, a part of me must still believe that something's wrong and that you're not enough, I think you are. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that wholeness or knowing that you're a source means that you're going to walk around happy as hell, jumping around, giving high fives, all right, feeling great all the time, when that is not the case. You are down here to have a human experience. And a human experience means emotions. It means some days you're going to feel good, some days you're not. Knowing that you're source, knowing that you are divine does not take away from the down days. You still will go through the same type of days that you had before, however, or the same feelings that you had before. However, the only thing that changes is your knowing that behind the feelings, I am that I am no matter what. I am divine. I am all that there is. I am source no matter what. No matter what I feel, I am source. I am whole. Right? No matter what. And I believe karma is real. However, grace transcends karma. Grace, the knowing of who you are, and your free will always transcends karma. The law of being, who you are being, when you are walking hand in hand with source, transcends every single universal law that you can talk about. All right. The power of source, you have to think. So, yes, universal law, source or karma is a universal law, just like gravity. Right? Karma is a universal law. Well, I ain't gonna say just like gravity, but when we talk about karma, the power of source transcends karma. Completely transcends karma. I'm glad you manifested me too. How do you get better communication with harders? What does that mean? When you're not experiencing it yet. And that's fine. So the emotional roller coaster is just part of life. You don't run. So don't feel the need to judge your experience. Don't judge it as good or bad. Just judge it as your experience. Right? Sometimes the only purpose of things being uncomfortable or quote unquote negative for you is to give you more clarity on what you actually want to experience. Okay? We're the ones who make things worse than they are by resisting what it is, by resisting our own emotions, by resisting the flow of our life, by thinking that somehow because we don't feel right, that we're not worthy. Somehow that we don't feel right, we're not whole. Okay? And these are just assumptions. These are programmed ways of thinking. And that's why a lot of this journey is more so about, forgetting than it is remembering. And I know that this is the challenge. This is one of the things that I struggle with a lot as well, is, okay, if I know that I'm source, then why do I still have these ups and downs? Well, it's just life. Right? That is what your soul signed up for. If you were floating around in the cosmos, right, and you had no understanding of emotions, and somebody walked up to you and said, you can experience Earth, and you can experience the highest of highs, the bliss of love, the lows of heartbreak that will help you appreciate this more. You could perhaps experience extreme lack in your finances, which will then make you appreciate money more, and there's a chance that you could really be hurt and physically injured. You would say, what? Yes, sign me up right now. Right? Everything that you're experiencing is a path to fulfillment. It is fulfillment. It is love, it's fulfillment, and it is a path of you getting to know yourself more. It's all a miracle and it's all divine, right? Whether you like the experience or not, right? When you focused on it, chose it, indirectly or not, it unfolded from within you and it gave you a path to walk down and get to know yourself. And as you're walking down it, you have different beliefs you're confronting, different experiences that are giving you more clarity. Right? And as you go down these things, we also have to keep in mind that we've been programmed to think and feel certain ways, to seek our validation from outside, to think that if I feel good, it's because somebody out there, I've done something right for them, or they've done something for me, and now I feel good. So now we're just walking through life trying to come into this space where you need to validate yourself and transcend your emotions when we're highly programmed to walk around and base our emotions and our feelings and what we think is right and wrong on other people, when really you are your own internal guidance system. And when we've been outsourcing that our whole life, we can come into this space and it can be very difficult for us to get into our mind that your feelings are just feelings. It's just energy. There is only one emotion. There is only one energy. An emotion is just energy in motion. There's only one energy that is source. There's not two powers. There is simply one. There is source. There is light that is within you, that is flowing through you. But because we have an ego, that one energy is then felt by our ego, and our ego translates this based on if we have a negative assumption that is not in alignment of who we really are as being divine. We feel negativity, we feel fear, we feel anxiety, we feel that we're not enough, right? Or if we are in alignment with who we are, now all of a sudden we feel joy and happiness, yada, 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 yada. At the end of the day, it's just energy. Your ego's not real. It's simply how you experience life. It's simply a collection of stories that you've had to live and survive on since you were a child here. It helped you survive, but it's not real. Okay? It's something that you can observe. Your emotions and feelings are simply tools, but they are not a basis for if you're in alignment or not. They're not a basis of if you are source or not, if you're whole or not. They're not a good judgment for any of that. They're simply tools to use in the moment to give you clarity on what are you thinking, what is the belief that you have here, and how can I start to confront that belief, or, right, now that I've confronted that belief, I can use that emotion, or once you start transcending the need to even entertain the beliefs and just know that I am, and that's enough. I am all that there is. Now, whatever I feel, anxiety, fear, pain, whatever, it's used as a tool to point in the direction that I want, to what I want to experience. Absolutely. Is it normal to get a calm high being in the present moment as your creator self? Absolutely. This is just reminding you of who you really are, right? It's very natural. However, if you didn't feel that way, if you felt anxiety, if you felt fear, if you felt extreme joy, okay, all of it's the same. But typically, if you are really in the moment, you will feel calm because the current moment is reminding you of who you are. On a soul level, you're doing the right thing, so you're going to feel calm. You're going to feel more like yourself when you are truly in the moment. All right. One thing that's very difficult for me to understand, this is a random thought, right, is you are every single version of yourself right now. Okay. And so every thought that you could ever have, think about this for real. If you are every single version of you that you could ever be, I gave the definition of limiting thoughts, but I'm about to contradict myself. If you are every version of yourself that you could ever be, every thought that you could possibly think is actually a limiting belief. There's no thought that's in alignment with who you really are except for I am. Okay? The I am is the only thing that you could say that's actually in alignment with what you really are, being all that there is. Every single other thing that you say, even I am prosperity, denies you of everything else that you are. And it is limiting. So the best thing for you to do is just constantly speak in the direction of what you want. That's more of a random thought, but I just feel like throwing that one in there. Yeah, because you're infinite versions of yourself, right? You're everything all at once. You're everything that you can imagine you are. So even limiting yourself to one perspective is limiting. So at the very least, point your thoughts, point in the direction of what you want, knowing that there's nothing that you could experience that'll actually be the fullness of who you are. This is why your desires always grow. This is why you can think of so many things you want, because you're in all these realities having all these things at once. There's nothing in this physical world that could ever satisfy you. Nothing. You'll never have enough sex and be like, whew, finally, that was the last one I needed. I'm good. Okay? You'll never get to a point where it's just enough, because you are all that there is. You're infinite. The only thing that can satisfy you is knowing that you're that. You just do that over time. So being able to transcend anything happening in the present moment is being in control as a creator. Absolutely. Do I meditate daily? Absolutely. Absolutely. I meditate daily. I meditate daily, man. Multiple times a day. I typically work out about twice a day. I meditate every time I work out. But my primary meditation is what I do before night. I typically set up at least an hour or two before I go to sleep to meditate. And do I consider Christ consciousness, new age, and against God? Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've seen that argument as well, but I tap out on that argument. A lot of spiritual and religious arguments I tap out of, unless it's expansive in nature, right? If, someone wants to learn something, I want to learn something, we're having a cool conversation, I'm all about that. But the moment one side's trying to demonize the other and say, oh, it's witchcraft, and I'm out of there. I don't want to hear that shit, that limiting ass thinking. The way that I describe the Christ consciousness is in a few different ways, right? When I talk about it from a manifestation perspective, it's just a knowing of who you are, right? You could be nothing less than that Christ consciousness, that divinity within you. But from a manifesting perspective, I always talk about it from a perspective of you being that Virgin Mary and you getting a thought in your mind, which is the Most High placing that thought within you. Because as you have a desire, the Most High is saying, I want to experience that through you, right? Just like the Virgin Mary got pregnant, the Immaculate Conception, right? And so you're walking through life and people might be trying to chase you down or tell you that you can't do this, and all these things are happening, but you still give birth. That idea is made manifest in your life, right? And this kind of bursts that Christ consciousness within you, where you realize, oh shit, I was never a victim. I was always a creator. All I needed was God, right? This is representative of Jesus at the pool of Bethesda, story I always talk about, where he specifically tells the man, and Jesus says this multiple times, right? You don't need anything. All you need is me. What does Jesus represent? Your Christ consciousness. Right? Jesus didn't come down here for us to worship him. If he did, it was a terrible plan. He could have did something different. Right? But Jesus was just trying to show you who you are. He was just further ahead, right? Right? I am the law of Abraham. I am the law. I am the Lord. You are the law. You are the Lord. Those after me will do things greater than I. Right? We see it all the time, right? We see lots of people right now that are healing people and changing the collective consciousness, right? Have you ever heard of like Dr. Joe that spends his retreats? People are doing all kinds of insane things, right? So, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of ways that we can interpret that Christ consciousness, but it's just truly an understanding of who you really are. It's who you really are. Okay, it's just a knowing of who you are. Right? How you have a great relationship. Yeah, you can say that. How you have a great relationship with God within yourself. Yeah. You can say that. I would, man, it's a great question because I see this all the time and I've had this experience in the past. What helps me and what I see helps the clients I work with, if you feel like you've been doing too much with the affirming and the visualization, simply focus on yourself, right? Put aside those things, so release those things. However you want to do it. If you want to write down your desires on a piece of paper and fold it up and be like, okay, Source, I give this to you. I'm not going to revisit this. Do that. But focus on things specific to you. Try to detach from that thing and focus on manifesting aspects of yourself. Changing your quote unquote self-concept about yourself. Right? That's what I highly recommend. And I often see that when we're visualizing and affirming, it feels like we're not getting anywhere anymore. Working on your self-concept can really change things very, very quickly. Because everything is within us. Oftentimes when we try to make it about that thing, we end up, accidentally putting some things on pedestals. We could put money on a pedestal. We could put people on a pedestal. And forget that we are the pedestal. Like we are Source. They are just creations. They're just reflecting you. You're just giving them a script. So if I'm constantly thinking about that thing or that person, okay, and now I make them greater than my own I am awareness, right? I am the Lord and there is no other. I am the law and there is no other law, right? So when we start making things outside of us greater than our I am, shall have no false idols but me. Okay, meaning we shouldn't worship anything out there. There is nothing out there. There's nothing out there. There's no person out there. There's no thing out there. There's no circumstance out there. It's all within you. So when we start to really come into that understanding and just focus on us, you'll find that this is what matters. This is the only thing that was real. Your I am awareness is the only thing that was real this whole time. I believe that the only self-concept that you need is that you are the creator, yes. However, different strokes for different folks. So when we say from the ego, I'm always careful to say that because people like to say things like, okay, certain things are ego desires and certain things are more divine desires. Like world peace is a divine desire and my own money is an ego desire. I don't believe that at all. I believe that if you have a desire, it is of the divine, or else you would not want it. You wouldn't want it. If it wasn't of the divine, you wouldn't want it, right? So now there's energy imbalances, right? Don't take that and run with it. So you can't have energy imbalances that can cause you to want things. But even in those instances, people understand that they're not living in they're not doing it from a righteous perspective. The righteous perspective means it's in alignment with your higher self. It's not of your lower energy centers, right? Some energy imbalance or something. So long story short, sometimes we can feel guilt of wanting our own prosperity when we see outside people suffering. But the point I always try to make is, you know what I'm saying, if y'all are both suffering, you can't help them anyway. Like, you obviously want your prosperity. And just the fact that you're thinking about others means that you could be in a position to help others if you had your prosperity. But even if you didn't, right? Think about all the things, the people that benefit just from you being a better version of yourself. You stepping into your divineness, your divinity, and spreading knowledge, you help people. You stepping in your prosperity, whose life gets better? Your parents' life gets better. Your woman's life gets better. Hell, your man's life might get better. Your kid's life gets better. Your friend's life gets better. You have new experiences. You spread your money in other places. Do you know what actually happens when you spend money? Because many of us think of money as one exchange. I did right because I gave money to that person who needed it. But guess what? Money don't stop there. You know what I'm saying? Money don't stop, it keep going, right? So if you pay this person, and then they go take it to the store, then that store puts it in a cash register, then it gets cashed out, and then it helps a mother feed their child, and then it spreads again. So you being a channel for prosperity allows that prosperity to spread. So we have to think about the nature of energy. Energy always wants to move. It can't be destroyed. It always has to spread. This is the example I always give. With your positive or your negative energy, always spread it. Because energy is everything. Money is energy, but also your energy. So let's say that you go to a drive-thru. Cashier spills coffee on you. You cuss her out. The hell's wrong with you? Okay. Now all of a sudden she's pissed off. She turns to a coworker and she snaps on them. The next car pulls in, right? Kids in the back seat, yelling around. This coworker, she's short with the mother in the front seat. And that mother feels thrown off. She's annoyed all of a sudden and she snaps on the kid in the back seat. Like, sit your ass down. Then that kid goes to school and they give the teacher a hard time. Or they slap their classmate or something, okay? So that energy spreads. Even if you went back and apologized to the cashier, hey, I'm sorry. The energy's still spreading, right? Still spreading. All right, so what is karma? All right, when does that energy stop? What has one negative or rude thing that you said, what has it spread to? When has it stopped? When does it stop? Okay, now let's use the same positive. No. So she pulls up, she gives you your coffee, she spills it on you, but you know what I'm saying, you give her a kind word. Turns out that she was actually studying for an exam all night. She was up all night. But now she's in a little bit better mood. She gives a kind word to the person after you. Right? And now she feels even a little bit better, a little bit more motivated. You know, I've been doing all these things and now, you know what I'm saying, the divine just seems to be blessing me with nice people. Easier day at work. So now this mother, she's nicer to her kid. Her kid goes to school and hugs the teacher. Maybe they have a good conversation on the car ride, hugs the teacher. Now the teacher remembers, this is why I do this. This is why I do this. And they go home and they have a better night with their loved one. When does your energy stop? How does your energy keep moving? Right? So the same way that your quote unquote positive, quote unquote negative energy spreads, your money does as well. Okay? So you're always in this infinity loop, reaping what you sow, right? Eventually that energy is going to come back and slap you around or help you out. Okay. So we're always in this divine loop. We are the creators of our experience, 100%, no doubt. 100%, no doubt. Oh, shoot, I didn't even see this. But couldn't get the funding. We ripped the siding off and boom, it was perfectly preserved, original siding, driving the pipes down. I am that I am. See, that's what I fucking like to hear. That's what I like to hear, man. I am that I am. Check that out. All right, so my roommate and I wanted to do a renovation on our house, but couldn't get the funding. We ripped the siding off, and boom, there was perfectly preserved original siding, driving the price down from 10K to 1K. Less money, less work. I am that I am. This is all it takes. All it takes is the knowing that you are source. The knowing that you are source changes everything. Changes your reality, changes your experience, gives you more money, gives you more love, gives you more quote unquote coincidence, even though there is no such thing as a coincidence. It's all divine and it's all you, right? There's no coincidence. It's all you. It's all straight out of you, right? Straight out of you. I love to hear that. How do you embody the thing that you want? For example, start doing things a wife would. Example, cooking more. I could give, okay, so my actual answer would be, in this case, you could do a lot of things, right? You could do an act to show that you're ready, right? Like you could cook once a week and pretend that you're cooking for somebody, or you could simply do it all by right of imagination. Even one of the things I say, if people want to get a text from somebody, I say, okay, don't text them. Don't text them first, right? Send them a text in your imagination. As you're going to sleep, send them a text. All right. So if you want to do things as a wife, right, do them from your imagination. Do them from as you go to sleep. However, when you are going through life, now assume that you already are the person that's in perfect alignment with what you want. You have to make that assumption. Okay? If it's hard for you to make that assumption, then do something in your physical reality as well. Angel numbers. I guess they mean whatever you want them to mean, right? Everything is a synchronicity and everything. So here's the thing about numbers, numerology, right? They're don't get me wrong, they're absolutely real. But the meaning of them, I'd be curious to understand, what do you think the meaning of them is? Is there something that you've been thinking about, hoping for, wanting answers on? What I'll see is, people will be going through something, they'll be asking for a specific answer, then they'll find the angel numbers, then they'll go Google it and they'll say what they're not looking for, and they're like, fuck, I was hoping it said money, but it didn't. What does that mean? Who can tell you how your ancestors, how your spirit team, how source is going to communicate to you? So it showed up to Moses as a burning bush. Does that mean that source will show up to you that way? No. What you receive from source is going to be very specific to you, right? Source typically shows up to me in very interesting ways. Very interesting ways. All right, so the ways that source speaks to me, I don't expect source to speak to other people in that same way, right? It depends on what we are, right? What we are actually going through, what we need to receive. So even the whole dream interpretations, right? Dreams are an outpicturing of your subconscious mind. So for somebody to interpret your dream, they would have to know your subconscious mind. It's very difficult to do. Unless they know you, they could probably give you symbols, but a lot of those aspects that you're seeing are just parts of your consciousness allowing you to see them clearly, right? The best person to interpret your dreams is you. The best person to interpret your angel numbers and is you. It's you. Your synchronicities are you. They mean what you think they mean. But if you've been asking for answers, trust what they're giving you, right? Because there's going to be a point, or you have to get to a point. You should really desire to get to the point where your conversations with Source are you and Source, right? Because no one else can be closer to Source than you, because Source is within you, right? No one can be closer to Source than you. The messages that you receive will have to be very, very, you're going to have to develop your own discernment. And what I would actually advise, let's get into it, is asking for specific things. I asked for very specific things. I was just telling a story the other day. I specifically asked for a blue jay. And as soon as I asked for it, one showed up and I said, nah, that was too fast. I felt like a coincidence. Do it again in a way that I'm going to know it's me. And a whole flock of them motherfuckers came out of nowhere, right? Or at the store where I asked for a pink car. Like, I'll ask for specific things to see. But it's about building that relationship with Source yourself, right? You don't want to get to a point where you're asking other people, because other people bring their perspectives, they bring their thoughts, their feelings, their life experiences. You want the message to be pure, straight from you and Source, right? And that's going to actually build more faith for you, right? You're going to be able to trust the message more when you know it's unfiltered. You know, sometimes people can tell you what they think it means, and you're like, okay, nah. And then other times people will say something, and because it's what you think it should be, now you're like, okay, cool. The key is to trust what you think it should be up top. That's the key, right? It's always about you, right? And then keep in mind, right, you're going through this life experience. Everybody's a reflection of you, but it's really you and Source co-creating this together. Just together, right? So unless you're asking for a sign that specifically, I want somebody to tell me something that shows me that I'm in alignment, that clearly tells me I'm in alignment, right? And then some woman in the grocery store comes up to you and is like, hey, look, I just felt it on my heart to tell you this, yada, yada, yada. Then I would go straight to the Source. Yeah, it's about relationship. You know? I look at that. So I used to think the exact same thing about the don't test God. And I always give the same story. That when Jesus was out in the wilderness, right? And Satan says, you're the Son of God. Throw yourself over the cliff. Surely the angels are going to save you. And Jesus said, don't test God. I initially thought that it meant that as well until I was, revealed some things through experience, through some crazy ass downloads. But how could you ever get clarity without questioning? Right? The truth doesn't mind being questioned. The truth stands the test, right? It's all the other shit that fades away. This is why there's certain beliefs, right? I don't want you to question things. Right? Oh, no, don't ask that. Don't question that shit, right? You can only build your relationship with the Most High by asking questions and going down the rabbit hole, right? We have so many different religions, so many different spiritual constructs, right? How many of them do you have to walk down to actually find what resonates with you? Typically a lot. Typically more than one, right? People aren't typically born into the one that just specifically resonates with them for the rest of their life, unless they just want to or don't question, right? But for me, it took a lot. I know a lot of people, it's taken reading a lot of different texts, talking to priests, talking to pastors, you know what I'm saying? Going in on the ayahuasca, I'm about to get banned by saying that. But doing all these things that put, Source in perspective. And so the revelation that I got was actually a story about manifestation as well. A lot of the stories about Jesus, when you really go and read them, they're about reality creation. It's about Christ consciousness. It's about manifesting. A lot of these stories and parables that Jesus was saying, They were specifically geared to this is how you do things. Even the miracles is like, hey, you too can do this. So what it actually meant is it's detaching from how you think things are going to be done. So testing the Most High would be, I have been praying for prosperity, visualizing prosperity. I've embodied prosperity. I have assumed to be prosperity. Nothing not of prosperity is allowed in my life or my consciousness anymore. I've claimed it by divine right. Now, because I've been doing this, I'm about to go take all of my money and I'm going to go put it on red. I'm going to go to the casino. I'm going to put it all on red. Okay? This is testing God. All right? I'm going to take all of my money and I'm going to buy all straight lottery tickets with it. Because surely I've been praying for prosperity. God must come through for me now. Right? This is testing God. Right? Surely if you throw yourself off of this cliff, the angels will catch you. Aren't you the Son of God? Surely if you put all of your money on red, you've been praying for prosperity, surely God will grant that to you. Right? But we have to say it's God's way, not our way. It's Source's way. I and the Father are one, but the Father does the work. I simply select the destination. I simply select the prosperity. I don't know if it's going to come through the lottery or through the table, or through what, but I'm not going to test, right? Which is just another word for, I'm not going to try to micromanage the process to get there. I simply have faith. Faith is the substance. My faith is the substance. When we talk about faith being the substance, we're not talking about my faith in not questioning is the substance. My faith in knowing what I will receive is the substance. How we get there, that's on Source. But I know that we will get there. Okay? Yeah, it was a breakup for me as well. Well, I could say I had a bunch of really awakenings, right? My first was, there were several instances. Okay, so one of them was I was actually in a fire. I was in a house fire. Got burnt up. I was in the hospital for a while and I started having visions. And I started remembering certain things visions that I had as a child that I just forgot about. But also, when I was healing, I was in the hyperbaric chamber, so they were pumping me with oxygen. Then I wasn't really eating. I was just drinking water. So it was like I was fasting and I was getting pumped with oxygen, pure oxygen. So I was just remembering shit. Best thing that could have happened to me, right? But I also kind of realized certain past lives, even though past lives are happening right now, I realized that I typically have difficult experiences I have to go through before I really start trying to remember things. And so I went down that path a lot for a while, and I was just consuming knowledge, more from an ego perspective, though. I was just trying to get as much information as I could, for the wrong reasons. Did a whole lot of plant medicine, a whole lot. And even then, right, it was getting to the point I was doing so many trips that I would get into the trip and I would realize, oh shit, I've been here before. I just didn't remember that I was here before because I was getting so much information and I was just overloading myself. But really, it was a form of escapism for me, that first part. But then, I met a woman, fell in love. She passed away. And when she passed away, that's what really sparked me to find answers, to find out who I was, and then to really let go. So, boom, it's crazy because on this journey, as I was really trying to get information, right? I I was getting things and things were clicking, but once I really let go, that's when boom, all of a sudden I started having, when I was meditating with no intention. I was just going into meditation, just trying to recharge my soul and just trying to relax and go into nothingness. That's when all of a sudden things started to click. I started to connect with deeper parts of myself, start getting the information that I was really wanting. Yeah. Yeah. And then the manifestation journey, that was a whole different journey. Because I've been through some financially difficult times, man. Like, I've had several cars. I've had cars repoed. I've been evicted a few times. I've been homeless a few times. There was finally one time, right, it was like on my last. Like, I was on my last a lot, but this time I was really on my last. And I had to make money. I was going to get evicted again. I don't even know how I got this spot. This spot was terrible, too. This spot was roaches. That spot was terrible, man. But it was a spot. It was better than nothing. Right? I didn't have a car. I didn't have a way to make money. And shit, I was supposed to actually go into court to finish up the eviction, and I just kept saying in my mind, I kept my mind focused on what I wanted. This was the first big manifestation that I had. This is when I realized like that everything was an illusion. Was the day of, I ended up getting the amount of money that I had. I have no idea how it happened, but when I went in, like the portal, like you could go in and you could pay online, but the portal was closed off. Right? So because I didn't pay, the portal was closed off. Finally, when I went in, like afterwards, the exact amount that I was saying that I had, it was paid and it was applied to the balance. Because I even said in my mind I was going to pay. I had a whole plan for what I was going to do with that specific amount. So I was going to pay exactly what I owed, and then I was going to take this amount and I was going to do a couple of things and try to just get barely ahead. But all of that money was applied to the balance, miraculously. Right? I didn't tell anybody about this. I was just going to be out of luck, right? It was just one of the first big miracles that I experienced in my life. I had no way to explain it, don't know what happened, but I realized how powerful, consciousness is. And that was my Virgin Mary experience. That was the time where I said, I'm not alone. I've never been alone, right? I've been remembering myself incorrectly. I was never unloved. I thought the external world didn't love me, but it was just a reflection. Right? I've always been loved unconditionally, unlimitedly, because source is within me. Right? And after that, things started clicking. And I'm getting a car. I was doing Uber for a while. I was doing a lot. I was like, yeah, it was a good time. That really set me on the trajectory to get to where I am right now. But yes, indeed. Life is a reflection of self. Absolutely. Life is a reflection of self. Life is a reflection of your faith. Right? Your faith, your life is your faith. Your life is you. Right? In every aspect, right? Your bank account reflects you. Your relationships reflect you. Where you live, everything reflects you. It's all you. It's all you. There's nothing outside of it. It's all you. What would I say to attract love? I would just come into the knowing that I am love. Unconditional love. Now, ma'am, I've recognized you asked this question before. You know the answer, right? And I'm only saying that because, and I've been here. The moment, this is this is what it really is, right? So the moment that you stop waiting or needing it to click, stop waiting or needing to hear the perfect thing, and simply know that you are sourced no matter how you feel. Simply know that you are in alignment with whatever you want no matter how you feel. Right? Simply know that you are infinite love no matter how you feel. And then comes the difficult part, right? Holding on to that knowing, consistently challenging yourself for as long as it takes to remember that knowing. Because this is going to be a journey for the rest of your life, to know that you are that love, right? And simply assume that right now, you are going to select that version of you, right, that is in perfect alignment for your divine counterpart. Now, what does that version of you feel like? It feels exactly the way that you feel right now. The only difference is it knows that it's in perfect alignment right now. Absolutely knows without a doubt that right now I am in perfect alignment for that person that I want. Right? Now, if you need to have some affirmations, some weapons, I would recommend 5. I always recommend 5. Get you 5 good affirmations. These are going to be your weapons. So anytime that you feel doubt, you're going to go to these affirmations. You are going to go to these affirmations. These are your weapons. You feel doubt, you feel fear, you feel anxiety, right? You feel lack. You're going to go to these affirmations. If you really feel lack, then you're going to create a scene, an imaginal scene, 5, 10 seconds. Doesn't even have to be that, 3 to 5 seconds, right? Of you putting a wedding ring on, or something that would symbolize that you have the love that you want. Okay? You're not going to overthink it. This one scene assumes that you have the love that you want. It could be putting a ring on. It could be feeling a ring on your finger. Okay? Try to don't make it too specific. Make it pretty generic, but make it meaningful to you, and don't change it. And so whenever you feel like, you're going to go back to this. You're going to go back to that visualization, and then you are going to use those 5 affirmations. But your challenge is that it does not matter how you feel, okay? Doesn't matter if you're feeling good about it, excited about it, or down about it. Right now, you are in perfect alignment for it, no matter what. I am in perfect alignment. I am that I am. I am perfect. I am in perfect alignment for what I want, no matter what. Matter of fact, the end of those 5 affirmations, I hope you're writing this down. At the end of those 5 affirmations, I want you to put no matter what. But when you also do those, you have to do those from the knowing that you are divine, from the knowing that you are source. Okay? No matter what. It's your homework. No. You have to come up with the affirmations. No, what are the affirmations, B? You have to come up with the affirmations. Your affirmations need to be powerful to you, meaningful to you, right? So really think about this, okay? But what affirmations, think of your affirmations like this. If somebody came up to you and you had the love that you wanted, the marriage you wanted, and they asked you about it, these affirmations would actually imply that you have them. Oh, I'm just divinely in love right now, right? You want them to feel normal to you. I am prosperity is cool. It's cool, right? It's cool. But add some personality into it, right? Add who you are into it. Right? I am divinely irresistible. You know what I'm saying? I am delicious, irresistible, irreplaceable, and unforgettable. And I have to be careful when I speak to women or when you speak to men, because one conversation and they won't want to let me go. Right? Whatever resonates with you. Okay? But that's your homework. I would say 5 affirmations. 5 is a lot, but 5 affirmations. And I would say that imaginal scene, that 3 to 5 second scene, implying that you have what you want. And then I'm gonna put a timer on this. I'm gonna remember this too. Today is June 17th. If you ask me about that before June 24th, I'm gonna tell you something. Nah, I'm just playing with you, but I think that'll help. I'm only giving you that because I've seen that question. I've seen you ask a remix version of that question a couple times. But you got this. You got this. You got this. You got this. Before going to say one something the right state. For sure. Oh, you already know who it is. Honestly, people to me are very, very easy to manifest. But instead of, it's about taking them on the pedestal, right? It's about reminding yourself that you are the magnet and they are the ones pursuing you. They are attracted. They can't resist you. Right? It's seeing yourself as that magnet, right? Because when we're doing this thing, think about it like this, right? Because people hear about law of thought transmission, which is all real. But when you do things it's all about doing things from like a point of lack and doing things from a position of power. So if I'm trying to change someone, first of all, okay, all right, well, let's break this down metaphysically. If I believe that I'm trying to change somebody, what am I implying? That they're not perfect. And they already are perfect. That version of them is perfect. And it's done. I can't change that version of them. However, when I change who I am, I can get a completely different version of them. Because you don't even want that same version of them. You're trying to get somebody back, you don't want that same version of them. They're gone for a reason. You want a different version of them. Meaning you have to conjure a different version of yourself. You have to identify with a different version of yourself, right? That person is done. That person that you want, they're done. They're gone. They exist. They're solid. You're leaving that reality. Leave them where they are. Detach from how they were. If you start thinking about it, realize that's a different person. You ever wondered why people can be two completely different people? You can go to sleep with somebody today, they can be a different person tomorrow. They are different. There's a different version of them. You have to leave that version where they are. Detach from that version. Drop that version. Know that you're creating somebody completely new. You're not changing anything. You never change circumstance. You don't change your bank account. You're selecting a new one. You're jumping to a different reality with a different bank account. You're simply choosing. Everything is done. All versions of that person exist just like all versions of you exist. And they're all perfect. To think of them as less than perfect, all this version did, it perfectly gave you clarity on what you wanted. It played the perfect role for you. And now that you have that clarity, you can go make your affirmations and you can change who you are. And you can remember that that person is not the prize you are. That person is not the prize you are. You're not trying to get them to change to validate yourself. You're knowing that you're already whole and they are going to be magnetized to you. And you have to make that decision with such intent, with such intensity. That has to be an intense decision that you make. This is an assumption that you carry with you. Right? And now as you walk through reality, what happens? Reality folds and bends to you. It conforms to you. It puts you in the right timeline. And you get a completely different version of you. And oftentimes they're going to come and they're going to act like they're completely don't even remember the shit that happened in the past. Because guess what? You don't identify with that version of them anymore. You're not changing them. You don't want them. You do not want that version of them. You want a different version of them. And so now you have to be a different version of yourself. Okay? So this is how you do it, man. That's how you do it. That's how you get somebody to change. Because remember, this is all still free will. right? You're not changing them because that would be a violation of free will, right? You're simply changing yourself, selecting what you want them to be. And now the version of them whose free will aligns with what you want comes into your life. This is how it works metaphysically. All right. And so what do you do when there's a time crunch? The only reason that there is a time crunch, I know about this. Trust me, I know about this. The only reason that a time crunch exists, that there's a timeline exists, because the time crunch represents not having it. If you had what you wanted, you would not be aware of the time. So this is going to be the difficult part. This is going to take discipline. You have to be aware of what you have, because if you had it, guess what that time crunch would do? That time crunch would fade away. It only exists in a reality where you don't have what you want. So you have to bring your consciousness on the fact that you have it. And when you think about that other thing, you have to realize that you are already whole right now. You are every version of yourself right now. The version of you that experiences that time crunch, that doesn't make that time crunch, this is a possibility. That version of you exists. However, you do not identify with that version of you. You love that version of you. You allow that version of you to do what he has to do, right? To experience that thing in its perfect reality. But you do not let your emotions allow you to identify with it. You don't allow your anxiety, your fear, whatever, to identify with that timeline. Whenever you think about that, you transcend the emotions and the fear, right? The emotions, the fear, it's an illusion. The timeline doesn't exist. You reaffirm that timeline does not exist because I already have it right now. And because you already have it right now, there's a version of you that does. So you have to keep your awareness on, I already have it. There is no timeline. There is no time crunch. I already have it. It's going to be difficult. Trust me, I've been there. Even when your emotions are going crazy, when your nervous system is going, and I'm not saying this might not happen to you. This is what happened to me, right? You could be way colder than me, right? Because we all handle our emotions and our consciousness differently, right? You have to realize that it does not matter what your emotions and your body and your nervous system is doing. It could be going crazy. Your nervous system could be screaming. Bro, we're supposed to be panicking. You have to be the one, the consciousness above it that says, no, I already have it right now. No matter what. This is why the no matter what at the end of your affirmation is so powerful. I am that I am no matter what. Right? I am prosperity no matter what. What does no matter what mean? It means no matter what. No matter how I feel. Right? No matter my anxiety. No matter if I have a loose thought every now and then. I am prosperity no matter what. Right? So those are my recommendations. Is that when you believe, so what do I mean by not changing them? If you were changing them, then that would mean, you can think about it in a whole bunch of different ways. Changing them is a violation of their free will, right? You're choosing a different version of them. You don't want to change this version of them. This version of them is somebody that you don't want. Well, you want them, but you don't want them as they are, right? If they came back exactly how they are right now, you wouldn't want them. You want a different version of them, a version of them who chases you, a version of them who doesn't leave you, right? Meaning you have to select a different version of them. So infinite versions of them exist. Okay? Right now, every version of them exists. The version of them that's already married to you, the version of them that has passed away, the version of them that is broke, the version of them that is a billionaire, the version of them that has never met you. Every single version of them exists. The version that you experienced in that reality is solid. It's done. You're not changing that version. You're not changing that version, all right? You're simply going within yourself and reminding yourself, no, people don't leave me. I am magnetic. I am the prize, right? One of my affirmations, I do a variation of this one, is I simply am, and everything I want is attracted to me. All right? I simply am. And everything that I want is attracted to me, right? So you want to be in a version of reality. You want to be in a reality, not with that person, but with a different version of them who does the things that you want, right? So who would you be? You would be a person that assumes that this person does the things that you want. So you simply have to assume it, right? You simply have to assume that you are that person right now, and then get a different version of them. You don't want any version of the one that lived inside. No, I feel you. I don't like to go back in the past either, man. I think some people, I do it, but I do it sometimes, but I don't like really go back in the past. A new making out of Hey, the topic is whatever. You got a question? The topic is whatever. Yes. Yeah, see him the way that you want to experience him, knowing that that version of him that you already experienced is not the same version that you're going to get. You're going to get a completely different version of him. Matter of fact, he'll probably not even remember certain things that y'all went through. He won't identify as having done certain things to you because it's a completely different version of him. You don't change. You don't change people. You don't change things. You simply allow them to be what they are. You do not resist them. They are what they are. You select a different version of them. This is why even, let's say that y'all have a conversation and they're not reacting the way that you want them to react. You simply flow with it, knowing that this isn't the version of them. And in your mind, what? You grant yourself the version that you want. Nah. You're going to come back and apologize because I'm a goddess and I'm treated as such, right? But nah, she doesn't treat me like that because I'm a god and she already knows who I am, right? You have to be so stern, right, in your knowing of what you deserve and what you're going to get. That it has no choice but to come to you. You are the creator. You are source. Everything around you is just the stars or the planets are circling you. They can't even stay in your life if they fall out of alignment. They have to catch up. You are the magnet, right? You are who you are. All right? You're giving everybody the script. They have to play along on your script or they don't exist. Well, they exist, it's not in your reality. I feel like I've consumed so much that I limit myself from taking this. That question already sounds like your internal guidance system telling you what to do. We're trying to use me. Don't try to use me for your conscience. Denise, what it do? They have to catch up. You are the man that have to be on your script. Absolutely. They got to be the ones. They have to catch up. You catch up or you get left behind. Right? You catch up or you get left behind. Right? You are the divinity. You are the source. In your reality, you are the operant power. Right? You are the force. You are the vessel that speaks God's will. Right? God is all that there is. God is think about it like this, okay? God is everything. Okay? So God is flowing through you, and every single thing in your reality outside of you is the divine. Every single person that you look at, you're not just looking at them, you're looking at one perspective of every single possible version of them that there could be. Every situation that you walk through, you're just looking at one of infinite possibilities. Every time you look at your bank account, you're looking at one of infinite bank accounts. That should make you happy. That should make you very, very happy. You look at your bank account, you're only seeing one of infinite possibilities, all right? Now, who gets to select which version that you're experiencing is you. You are the one. You are the operant power in your reality. You're the one who's speaking. Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. So as you speak, as you tell your story, as you hold yourself, as you walk through reality moment after moment, you are collapsing timelines, right? It's like you're flipping through a Rolodex, versions of people. I'll take this version of you. This is my expectation. You're the one doing that. So God within you always says yes. Before they ask, I will answer. And the answer is always yes. Right? Oh, I am divine. Yes. Oh, I am prosperity. Yes. All these women ain't shit. Yes. Dang, these men just keep cheating on me. Yes. It's always yes. Every possibility exists. It is always yes. Right? You can't escape who you're being, y'all. Right? Like, reality is always showing you who you're being. You can't run from it. You can't lie. Okay? Where you live is a statement of who you are. What you drive, your bank account, your relationship, it's all a statement of who you're being. It doesn't lie to you. Okay? Exactly. Everything is a mirror showing us who we believe ourselves to be. What you think you deserve. And here's the thing, right? This is even why Jesus said, like, who is anyone to deserve anything? Who is anyone to deserve anything? Right? If you think about deserving from a human perspective, you'll think you don't deserve shit. Because of that program, right? We're all quote unquote imperfect humans. We don't deserve anything. You deserve everything by right of consciousness. Everything you've been told about deserving is a lie. Oh, just do good by people and you'll get good done to you. That's not true. We know that's not true. Good things happen to good people. That's not true. If you just give to other people, you'll get money. That's not true. You deserve it all by divine right, by consciousness. Because every version of you exists. Every single version. Every single one. You are just a perspective of the whole of you. You can never be anything less than whole. So you simply choose a different perspective to view the world from, and now you get a new reality. But it's all yours. It is all yours. You're born worthy. You could be never, because you are inhaling oxygen right now, you are worthy. If you can blink, you are worthy. If you woke up this morning, you are worthy. All right, if you got any kind of life force in you, you are worthy of everything that you want. Appreciate you. You're rapid fire in them questions, huh? Silence or guided? Either one. I prefer silence. I just don't like hearing other people's voices when I'm meditating, that's all. That's my thing. But whatever makes you feel better, right? Even listening to other people teach, spiritual teachings, it gets in my mind a little bit too much, right? I don't like hearing other people's voices. Some people do really well with hearing other people's voices. I don't, except for mine. My own. I like to hear my own voice in my mind. It just feels clearer. And I think I've always been like this. I think from a teaching perspective, right? So even when I hear things, I don't necessarily hear them. I don't always take it like immediately for myself. I think of, I would have said it like this, right? So, teach his own. We have to find what works for us. The same way that I talk about religion and spirituality in general, right? We gotta find what works for us. What pulls you, like what brings you closer to the source? What makes you feel like you're powerful, like you're not out here alone? Right? Let's be real. That's why a lot of us get into this manifestation space, right? You know that if you can create something, at its core, you'll know that you're not alone. Right? The world kind of strips us from like true, genuine love. Like, who do we really trust? Who do most people really trust? Most people come from broken homes. Can't really trust your family 100%. Sure, can't trust the schools, the teachers 100%, the church 100%, the politicians 100%, right? And so you want to go through your life and know that you're not alone, right? I'm worthy, I'm loved. On a soul level, this is your soul wanting to go back home. Think about the journey your soul takes to get down here, right? Your soul is in union with Source. No past, no present, just living in the eternal now with Source. Anything that you wanted, you have right now. Then you descend into matter, flesh and bone and blood and linear time. It could be a traumatic experience. I mean, even on from a consciousness perspective, when you descend into matter, how long does it take you to regain consciousness? How long does it take most people to regain consciousness? Years. You don't come back into consciousness until, 12? Maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that, right? When you really start to know that, okay, I am me, right? And then we spend the rest of our life trying to get back to union. A lot of us seek the divine in partners. We seek the divine in our relationships. Like, oh shit, I want this person to see me, to complete me. Really, this is your soul calling for intimacy with Source. It just so happens that oftentimes we believe the closest we can get to that is a divine partner. Okay? But you don't really want them to complete you. You want them to see the God within you. You want them to remind you of who you are. You want them to be that mirror. Okay? You want to look at them and see God, and you want them to look at you and see God. This is what we really crave. Okay? Nobody can complete you. You already are whole. You don't need nobody to complete you, man. But that reminder that you are Source, that's what we crave. I mean, even atheists seek that, right? We seek truth in everything. That's why people are so, obsessed with the spiritual path. We're seeking truth. We want to find some purpose or meaning in life. We want to find some explanation for this. We're all trying to figure this shit out together. Right? One perspective at a time, right? We're all just a different perspective of the divine experience in itself, right? Source creates all of this, and then we all descend down here, and we are one perspective of everything. You're a perspective of Source, looking out at itself. I'm a perspective of Source, looking out at itself. We're just wandering around here, right? Thinking that we're smarter than we are. We're all just pretending to be something. People say they're doctors. They go to school for a long time and they learn certain things and they wear a costume and walk around, right? Somebody says he's a trader and he walks around with an outfit and pretends to be somebody. We're all just pretending. Right? Like, what are we doing? We're all just trying to figure out who we are down here, trying to derive some sense of purpose in a meaningless world. Okay? When the highest level of self-actualization when you're down here is coming back to the remembrance of who you are. You are divine, you are Source, you are all that there is. All right, so, yeah. What else y'all got today? God damn, that was good. Yes, indeed. You are the moment. This is the best moment in your life. This is the best day of your life because it's the only day. It's the only moment. Right now is the only moment. Right now is the moment who, if you assume that you are someone right now, it is projected from within you. And now you walk down the path of meeting yourself. Right now is the only moment that matters. It doesn't matter what you were doing last moment. It doesn't matter what you were doing last night, last year, last month. It only matters right now. Who are you being right now? Who do you want to be right now? Can you make the decision of who you want to be right now and say, I am that person right now, no matter what? My reality reflects this new version of me, no matter what. I will not go back to the old version of me, no matter what, no matter how I feel. My feelings don't dictate. Even if I don't feel like this new version, I am. Can you do that? All right. I am that I am, no matter what. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What do I think about the Bible verse? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is that? What is that? I can't even tell you off the top of my head. I was good. I was good that I was afflicted. I can't tell you off the top of my head. Disappointing answer to provide. I'm sure it's a disappointing answer to receive as well. We can look it up though. Let's look it up. All right, let's see here. $119.71. Oh, $112. I must be on the wrong one. Let me see. So it's not 119.71. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. Okay, I got you. All right, let's back up a little bit. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Whew, okay. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. Oof. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, yes, that I might learn thy statutes. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. I think this is really in alignment with everything that we've been talking about, right? So let's break this down one by one. The proud have forged a lie against me. Out of pride, someone has forged a lie against me. They've been saying things that are not true of me. Now, let's really break this down. Let's think about this from a metaphysical perspective, because this sounds good. Like, people outside of me been saying shit about me out of pride, but now I have but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. What lies against you? Not just people. We don't look at scripture from a base perspective, right? Anything that is temporary is false. So anything outside of you that is not in alignment with who you really are is lying to you. So sometimes it's external circumstances. Sometimes it's the way that people act, right? They're not in alignment with who we really are. But even though they're not, guess what? I keep losing this verse. I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. So I still speak my truth. I still decree things how I want them to be, how I want to see things. Okay? I still speak the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that you are source, but what is the truth? If that situation doesn't look like it's working out, the truth is God. I am the truth, right? Source that's within you is the truth. So if you're not speaking in alignment with source, you're not speaking the truth. If this thing looks like it's falling apart, guess what? I only speak the truth. It's unfolding perfectly for me, because that's the nature of the divine. It doesn't matter what it looks like. The God within me is perfect, so the situation must be perfect. Right? I love how I can just do this, right? It's like spirit just speaking to your boy. I almost said something else. All right. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. We understand that whether things are positive or negative, guess what? You're choosing something, right? You choose something and then it's projected from within you. And then you walk down the path of receiving it. So even when you create something good, now when you get to it, you realize, oh shit, I created that with my thought. When you create something negative, you're always realizing, oh shoot, I'm creating something with my thought. So it is good for me that I have been afflicted. It's good for me that I've been in a low place. So now I can see where my thoughts were sloppy. My expectations were sloppy. Who I thought I was not on point. But also we know that when you're in negative situations, the only point of a negative situation is what? To give you clarity on what you want. This is the only purpose. Everything is unfolding to what? Teach you who you are. It's not testing you. You're not God's strongest soldier. None of us are, okay? We are just who we are. We are all source. We are all divine. We are all everything. We're all equally as strong. We're all equally as perfect as whole. Okay? Everything is just a perfect reflection. So whatever I'm going through is showing me who I am, what I've been thinking, what I've been expecting, who I thought that I was. So I need to always speak truth, and I always need to see things for what they are. It's just clarification, right? So I don't get attached to circumstances, good or bad. It's just the perfect unfolding. It's all fulfillment. It is all me coming down here to experience myself, to learn myself as God. Or you could say it a different way. God coming down here to experience himself, to understand himself as God. It's the same thing. You, God, same thing. One and the same. You're going through this life to experience yourself. So what's the next one? The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Understanding this law is worth more than any money because it can get you out of any situation. There's no worldly thing that can compare to knowing yourself as source. There's nothing. Because knowing yourself as source allows you to have whatever you want. You can't bribe me out of knowing who I am. Right? You can't give me enough money to make me stop understanding who I am, right? What would be the exchange, right? This is actually one of the things of the story of Job. This is one of the things of the story of Job, right? Job thought it was his self-righteousness. He thought because he praised God, right? Hallelujah. He was jumping around and clapping. That's why he got his riches. But it wasn't, right? Whatever you get, it's not because you praise God. It's yours by divine right. So he just thought because I praise God and I shun evil and I shame the devil, that's why I get my riches. Right? So even at the end, he was blessed 2 times when he released that and he went within himself and he started realizing that, oh shit, it's all mine by divine right. I can forgive everyone. There's only one power. So when we think that, when we go into this just getting things without realizing that by doing the processes, the affirmations, the visualization, you're granting yourself that thing right now. You grant yourself that thing right now. And now you're just walking through the unfolding. Right? Or the quote unquote, what do they call it? Like the Passover experience. This is really what the Passover represents. You passing over from one identity to another, or the world passing over to match your identity. You've risen in consciousness. All right, the world's passing over to match your new identity. All right, so it's all yours by divine right, all of it. What's the next one? Thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn thy commandments. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in thy word. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. What does that mean? God, I know that your judgment is cool, and I know that this shitty situation that I'm seeing, it is in your faithfulness that you have put me through it. It's basically what we've been saying, right? The situation doesn't look ideal, but the God within me is perfect, so the situation must be unfolding perfectly. They just say it in a fancy way, right? God didn't put suffering on you. It's just a perfect mirror. It's your mirror of your expectations. However, now if I change my consciousness right now, I know that for me to get to where I am, For me to get from where I am now to where I want to be, things have to change. And the nature of a mirror is sometimes things look backwards, right? If I hold up this hand, it looks like I'm holding my left hand, it's my right hand. Sometimes the mirror looks backwards, so it looks wrong when it's actually right. So your only job is to say, situation don't look ideal, but the God within me is perfect, so the situation is unfolding perfectly. Okay? I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness has afflicted me. Right? I walk by faith and not by sight. Let, I pray thee, thy merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to thy word unto thy servant, of course. Yeah, I like this. I like this. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, dropping that gem up in here. Truly. Thank you. For sure. We are God having a human experience. We are not humans having a spiritual experience. We say it perfectly. We are source. We are divine. We are infinite consciousness having a human experience. You are much more spirit, soul, God than you are human. You are pretending to be a human right now, but you've been so caught up in the illusion you forgot that you were dreaming, right? We are the dreamer in the dream forgetting that they're dreaming. You just woke up one day, you were 12, and you were like, oh shit, this is real. But it's not. The angel numbers. I don't really think anything of them. I believe that the Most High Source, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, speaks to you, specifically to you, right? So God shows up to us in different ways. I've seen like I've seen people going back and forth about whether they're demonic and shit. Look, thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be. What you say it is what it is, right? Ultimately, we control reality. All realities exist. What we say it is what it is. But my belief, my perspective, the Most High speaks to you in infinite ways. In the relationship that we all have to form with Source, with the God within ourselves, no other person can tell me how I'm going to experience God talking to me. I don't care what you say it is, right? That's your perspective. That's your truth. I don't have to take that as my truth, right? So God could talk to somebody through music. God could talk to somebody else through numbers. God could talk to somebody else through colors, right? Through words. Even when I missed that question, it was a question about downloads, right? Even when I get downloads, I know certain people that receive downloads in the English language. I don't receive downloads in the English language at all. The downloads I receive are like, it's information that's attached to feelings or emotions, right? It's as if knowledge is placed within me. I have no idea where it came from. It's not given to me in a linear way where it's explained in 30 seconds or in an hour from front to back. It's simply just there. And now how I communicate it is also through my perspective, right? My life experiences. This is one reason why you can hear 8 different people speak about a spiritual topic. They can talk about the same thing. They can communicate it differently. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're still having human experiences. So my information has to be translated through who I am, right? I can tell you certain things, but it's going to be based on who I am, based on the metaphors that I know, based on experiences I've had that have shaped my way of communicating. Unless we believe that all these entities are just out here speaking English, right? Which, a lot are, but one of the things, if y'all are familiar with mystical experiences or with plant medicines, one of the interesting things about certain trips, if you experience entities, is there might not be language. Communicate through psychically, right? So just by looking, or being in the same vicinity. What? Just by being around them, right? You get information, and that information is very clear. When you think of the human language is very limited. If I speak to you, I'm speaking in sentences and words that we have defined with meanings. But beyond those words, right, wrapped up in that sentence is what? It's intentions, it's emotions. You don't know if I'm lying or not. You don't know what my intentions are, if I'm trying to mislead you, all these things, right? So the English language in itself is flawed. Right? It's not the clearest way to communicate. Imagine being able to communicate with someone and knowing their intentions, their feelings, what they were thinking, what they were believing, right? All that. But anyways, phone just died. So I'm about to end this one and give y'all some intention, some affirmations so we can go. I see you all as divine, as perfect, as all that there is, as worthy, as love. You are in perfect alignment of everything that you want. It could not be any other way because Source is within you. Source is within you. All right? Continue to walk the divine path, walk the righteous path. Remember that you are prosperity, you are abundance, you are divine, you are gods, you are goddesses. Let other people argue for their limitations. If you do not feel that way, it's cool, because I see you as that way anyway. So I know it must be true. Okay? Y'all have a beautiful, beautiful evening.